So in order for us to understand what we just talked about in Isaiah chapter 59, the cockatrice, as it relates to the serpent and the cockatrice that we looked at in Jeremiah, it ties us back to Joel 2, ties us back to the locust. We need to come here to Genesis chapter 49. I know some of you guys are already aware of this, but it would be just plain wrong for me not to include this into this series, because it is the foundation of support and proof for the evidence that I provide. And some people are unaware of it, and there's going to be many new people that see this. Chapter 49 of Genesis, Jacob's dying blessing, prophetic of the tribes of Israel. In other words, this is what Jacob foresees happening to the individual tribes in the last days. And of Dan he proclaims, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. We're going to take a heavy-duty look at that. But get it in your mind that the Bible declares Dan will be the end-time judge, the end-time serpent judge, directly from Jacob's mouth. Now, I'd like you to understand that the Bible declares in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 that there is wickedness in the place of judgment. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. Plain and simple, friends. That is the iniquity that is in the place of judgment, Dan. Now let's take a look at the heavy dutiness of Dan being this wicked judge, and being that Dan is symbolized as this serpent. This is where it confuses most people, because we just saw in Jeremiah that Dan, the snorting of the horses was heard from Dan. That Dan, throughout the locust, all being symbolized as this great army, these horsemen. Dan also, in those same verses, even in Revelation, is also symbolized further as a serpent, just like we see here. Tie the serpent up to all these ancient mystery religions that are all connected to blood sacrifices, from ancient Mexico, Mesoamerica, Aztecs, Miztecs, Mayans, Zapotecs, blood sacrifices, serpent gods. Egypt, Babylon, Assyria, the whole nine. Samaria, all serpent gods, all connected to sacrifice. Here we have Dan, once again, representing the serpent from Eden, who has inspired all of this evil act that needed to be committed so that one could become godlike. Dan is further symbolized as a serpent. He's going to be an adder in the path. Well, we know the path that he's in as an adder that he's in is the straight and narrow that Jesus Christ talked about. Dan is trying to block the path to the truth of Jesus Christ. And as Dan appears as these mighty men that many people are calling Pleiadians or aliens that are supposed to come upon this earth after this great disaster, that's even what they're saying. Dan is going to speak out against Jesus Christ and proclaim this coming world teacher, which we all know or should know by now is the Antichrist. So here's the confusion. You know and have saw that Dan was being symbolized as horseman, but in this verse it says, an adder in the path that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. Well, here's the truth. The key is that Dan is only concerned with biting one horse, singular, to make this one rider on this one horse fall backward in your mind. Dan is trying to block the truth of Jesus Christ, and he wants him to fall off the horse in your mind. Dan is trying to get you to not believe in Jesus Christ. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. This is Jesus Christ being symbolized on that singular white horse, the very same horse that Dan plans on making the rider fall backwards in your eyes.